Hello together and welcome to my channel. So today I want to talk with you about cryptocurrencies and about the question if cryptocurrencies are the money of the future. And this question has been on my mind for a long time, and I've been thinking about it a lot in the last couple of years, actually ever since I first heard of cryptocurrencies. And when I first heard of them, I was like instantly intrigued and fascinated, and I had this feeling that they are something special and that they will change a lot of things in the world. But I kept still thinking about it and trying to formulate my thoughts better, and I went and wrote down some stuff and started to organize it, and I made all kinds of lists. And in the end, I started to realize, in order to answer this question, I need to also understand what money actually is. And so I started to thinking about this question also and writing about this question. And so in the end, I ended up writing this essay about perfect money, about what are actually characteristics of good money. And now I would like to present to you what I have found during my course of writing this essay, and I would be really interested in your feedback. What do you think of this? Do you think I missed something? So please let me know in the comments. Okay, so in the course of this presentation, we will talk about the following things. So we will start with an introduction of money, of the concept. How did the concept of money come about? And how did we end up using money all the time from when we started probably in a kind of barter economy, just exchanging one good for another. And then we will continue with 3 fundamental characteristics of good money. And these characteristics I learned from reading a couple of books from the Austrian School of Economics. Okay, and then next are my own thoughts on what I think are the characteristics of good money. And then we will continue with a comparison of gold, government-issued currencies, and cryptocurrencies. And here I will compare these 3 like separate categories of goods. There is not one specific cryptocurrency that I'm trying to compare here, but I am comparing gold and government currencies to what I, from my own research, believe to be theoretically possible to implement in a cryptocurrency. And so we will do that, and then there will be the conclusion. And to just say it already, the conclusion of this video will be that I think cryptocurrencies have the potential to be the money of the future. Okay, so imagine for a start a kind of Stone Age society where people have some division of labor. There is like a fisher and a baker and a lumberjack, and they all exchange goods with each other. And now let's assume that the fisher wants to buy some wood from the lumberjack. So he goes to the lumberjack and offers to give him fish. But maybe the lumberjack doesn't want fish at the moment. He wants bread, for example. And so then this is what is known as the problem of matching needs, because the needs of the fisher and the needs of the lumberjack don't match, so they can't exchange. And so the fisher would have to go to the baker and try to exchange fish for bread, and then take the bread to the lumberjack and exchange the bread for wood. And it's all kind of complicated. And also the fisher has another problem, and that is the problem that he doesn't know if the price that the lumberjack asks is actually a fair price or if it's a rip-off. Like, how many fish is a pile of wood worth? Nobody really knows. And so this is the problem of price formation. Now let's assume further that in this society, people like to smoke a pipe in their leisure time. They like to smoke tobacco. And so there are many people that are willing to trade their goods for tobacco because they like to smoke in the evening. And now the fisher is kind of a clever fellow, and so he notices this. And then what he does is he starts to keep some tobacco, not because he wants to smoke it himself, but because he knows that he has a higher chance of exchanging the tobacco for something that he wants than, for example, fish. And so as he does this, the demand for tobacco in this small economy actually increases, because the fisher is now also willing to exchange his goods for tobacco, because he thinks maybe he can exchange the tobacco later for something else. And so like this, the demand for tobacco increases, and so maybe even more people start to realize that they have a high probability of exchanging tobacco for something that they want. And so as this process continues, more and more people are willing to trade their goods for tobacco, and this tends towards an equilibrium, a local stable equilibrium where everybody is willing to trade their goods for tobacco. And then tobacco is actually the most tradable good in this economy, and tobacco has in this way kind of taken the role of money in this economy, because everybody now trades their goods for tobacco and then trades tobacco for something else that they want. And this is the first of the three purposes of money, which is to act as a medium of exchange. And in this function, money solves the problem of matching needs, because the fisher can now just go and find anyone who wants fish and then exchange his fish for tobacco, and then he go to the lumberjack and buy wood with this tobacco. And the lumberjack can then buy bread with the tobacco, and so on. And so this is how money solves the problem of matching needs. Now money also solves the problem of price formation. So imagine maybe there is not just one fisher, but maybe there are 3 fishers or 5 fishers or something. And each of these fisher now tries to exchange his fish for tobacco. And so for everybody it becomes really easy to judge which of these fisher makes a better price. It's just whoever asks less tobacco per fish, that's the better price. And so in this way, we now have like a small fish market where supply and demand kind of meet each other at some point to define the price. And because everybody is always trading in tobacco, there is kind of you can compare all these different offers, and in this way money helps as an objective measure of value, because you can measure the price of things against each other. And of course the same thing happens also for wood and for every other good. And then all of a sudden you know the price of fish, you know the price of wood, and so you know how much fish is a pile of wood worth. Okay, and now the third purpose of money is to act as a store of value. And what this basically means is that the fisher can put aside some tobacco for maybe when he gets sick one day, or when his wife is pregnant, or when he wants to buy a new fisher boat. So he can store up labor or value for times when he needs more than he can moment to moment produce. And so this is how money kind of comes about, and also the purposes of money. And of course it has to be noticed that it's doesn't have to be tobacco that ends up in the role of money, but it is highly likely that in any society some good will take the role of money, because the process by which this happens, as we have seen, is self-reinforcing. As one person starts to use tobacco as money, the chance increase that more people start using it as as a medium of exchange as well. And so then it ends up becoming money. And also, just a quick side note, tobacco was actually used, for example, in Virginia and in other states around, I think, the 17th century. Tobacco was used as money there just because they didn't have anything else. They didn't have enough gold and silver coins to act as a medium of exchange. So yeah, that's that. And also, for example, in prisons, it often happens that cigarettes are used as money because the inmates are not allowed to have like dollars, money, but they are allowed to have cigarettes, and so they end up using cigarettes as money. Okay, now the first thing that of course comes to mind is that tobacco isn't really that well suited as money, because the first problem is it can decay. So if the fisher puts aside some tobacco and this tobacco rots and is spoiled, then he lost the labor he invested into getting it, and so that's of course not a good thing. So good money has to be durable, shouldn't be destroyed, should be indestructible. Also, tobacco is not limited in supply, and so what ended up happening, for example, in Virginia, is that more and more people kept growing tobacco, and so the total supply of tobacco kept increasing, and because of the law of supply and demand, it then costed more and more tobacco to buy, for example, a bread. This is actually exactly the process of inflation. If more money gets created, then there is more of this good that we call money around, and so it becomes less valuable relative to other goods. You have to pay more money for a bread or more tobacco for a bread, and this can escalate to the point where you have to take like 10 baskets full of tobacco just to buy a bread, at which point it becomes really not so usable anymore in everyday exchange. And also, probably most of you are familiar with cases of hyperinflation that happened in Africa, in Russia, in post-war Germany, in I think Venezuela at the moment. Like, whenever the government prints a lot of money and keeps accelerating the pace at which they print more money, then you get hyperinflation in the end, where the money basically becomes almost worthless. And like, there are stories of Russia where people had to take baskets full of bills to pay for their groceries, and people went, and when they robbed them, they threw the money on the ground and ran away with the basket, because the basket was actually more worth than this whole pile of money that was inside of it. And so this is a huge and a real problem, and also it's a real tragedy for everyone who has worked hard in their life and saved up money for their old age, or to buy a house, or to do anything, and then like instantly their money becomes just worthless. And so they worked their whole life and now they have nothing from it. And yeah, so good money has to be limited in supply. Also, good money should be divisible, and this means that we have to switch to another example here. So in the Stone Age, some tribes used cattle as money. They were basically saying, you help me build a house and I give you a cow. But then of course the problem is, what if two people help him half as much in building a house? He can't give each of them half a cow, because you can't add half a cow to your herd, because a cow is dead when you cut it in two. So good money should be divisible, such that you can pay like any amount of money that is demanded for a certain deal. Okay, so these were the three characteristics that I learned from the Austrian School of Economics, and now I will come to my own thoughts on what constitutes good money. And when I went about trying to find this out, I try to imagine, like, in an ideal world where everything is possible, what would I like my money to be like ideally? And so I thought, okay, I want to be able to have all my money with me all the time, but not have to carry anything. So it just kind of be in my head. And when I want to pay someone, I should just think, I want to pay this person, and then poof, the money transfers to his account. And also, I want that my money cannot leave my possession without my explicit and voluntary consent. So it can't be lost, it can't be stolen, it can't be extorted, robbed, or cheated. It should be impossible to fake, such that no one can give me fake money. And also it shouldn't be possible to devalue it through inflation. And also, no one should be able to lie to me about how much money they own. That would be like my ideal money. And so I realized that these are actually two main features that I want from money. I want safety and I want usability. And safety means that there is no chance that I will lose the labor I invested into getting this money in any way, like through theft or extortion or just losing my money. Shouldn't be possible. And usability means that I should be able to carry as much money as I want with me in my head and just transfer it to anyone instantly without any cost. And so then, now I came back from the imaginary world where everything is possible and tried to think, okay, in today's world with computers and gold and cash and e-banking and cell phones and cryptocurrencies, what does this mean, safety and usability? What features or characteristics does a good need to have to come as close as possible to this ideal that I have described before? And so let's start with safety. So first, it has to be fixed in supply, meaning it can't be created or destroyed. And this protects against inflation and against destruction of my money, like tobacco. Then also it has to be recognizable, meaning that no one can give me fake money. Then it should be restorable. Now, what does this mean? So we can't carry our money around in our heads completely, but I can carry around a cryptocurrency wallet on my cell phone or a credit card in my wallet. Like, a credit card is really small, it's not that big of a problem. But if I lose it, or if I lose my cell phone, then I want there to be a way that I can restore this thing that I lost. And so I didn't actually lose my money, I just lost the cell phone or the credit card. So that's restorable. Also, good money should be encrypted. And what I mean by that is that there is like a secret password that I know, and no one can spend this money unless they have this password. And so this means if I lose my cell phone and someone finds it, they can't spend my money. If someone steals my cell phone or my credit card, they can't spend my money. Also, we will come to that in a second. Now, gold and cash, for example, are not like this, but I want this to be the case for my money. Also, this protects against asset seizure by government, like we have seen, for example, in Cyprus, I think, I'm not sure, but there have been occasions in history where governments have seized the assets of their citizens. But if these assets were encrypted, then they couldn't be seized because you can't spend them if you don't know the password. Okay. Now, I also want my money to be hideable. And I want my money to be hideable so that I can protect myself or be protected against being robbed or extorted. Because if everybody knows that someone is really rich, then, or that someone is walking through the street and carries a lot of money with him, then this will increase the chance that this person gets robbed or threatened or anything, blackmailed, whatever. And so it should be possible to hide how much money you own or how much money you carry with you to protect from these things. Also, good money should be fungible. And what this means is that it should behave like a physical good. And what this means is if I have 2 units of money, there should be no way of distinguishing one from the other. Like if I have a liter of water here and a liter of water here, if I mix them and separate them, they are not distinguishable from another. And this is important because if it's not the case, if my money is somehow distinguishable from all other people's money, then there exists a possibility that some people or large groups of people will at some point in the future not accept my specific money that I own. They can like put it on a blacklist and then not accept it. And then basically I have lost the labor I invested into getting it. So good money should be fungible. And also good money should be always accessible, meaning that no one can block me from using my money. And this is very important because if I can't use my money, if it's kind of blocked in some way, then it's just as good as if I didn't own it, because I can't spend it to buy anything in the moment. And so this happens, of course, again, for example, in Cyprus, where government blocked the bank accounts of all citizens and didn't allow them to take the money out of the bank. Other kind of different examples are, for example, when Patreon or PayPal choose to block or ban certain people from using their service because they disagree with their political views, then all of a sudden your access to your money, like the channel that you use to buy and sell stuff, is blocked, and then you are really handicapped in your ability to act. So good money should always be accessible. Okay, so these are all the features that I could come up with for safety. If you think I forgot one, then please write it in the comments and I will be interested in that. Now for usability. So good money should be divisible. We already said that. Good money should be portable, and what I mean by that is ideally it would have 0 weight and 0 volume. So it would kind of just be with me, like in my head. And like a credit card comes fairly close to this, or a cell phone wallet. A gold bar is not so easily portable, for example. Now, good money should also be transferable, meaning ideally I would want the ability to send any amount of money to anyone, anywhere in the world, instantly and without any cost. So that's transferable. And also, good money should be showable, meaning that person A can prove to person B that they own at least this much money. And why is this important? Because I said I want ideally that no one can lie to me about how much money they own. So if someone says to me, I own $100 million, I could just say, okay, prove it to me. And there should be a way in which I can know that this person is telling the truth. So these are the features that I could come up with for usability. And again, write in the comments if you think there is some that I forgot. Okay, so now we will compare gold, government currencies, and cryptocurrencies in theory, like what I think is possible for a cryptocurrency, with each other. And so we will start with safety, and we will start with fixed supply. So gold has a perfectly fixed supply. There's just a limited quantity of gold on Earth. It can't be created, it can't be destroyed. Government currencies are of course not fixed in their supply. Like government can print banknotes, government can take back banknotes, banks can, like in electronic bank accounts, you can basically write in any number that you want. And there are overseers and third parties and supervisors and regulators and all this kind of stuff. but in the end, you can still write any number in this bank account that you want. With cryptocurrencies, it is possible to implement a fixed supply, and many cryptocurrencies have a fixed supply. There was this caveat that as more and more people maybe forget their password to their wallet, that more and more of the cryptocurrency would be kind of lost forever because no one can recover it. And so one could implement that lost wallets are redistributed after 100 years. I don't know if it's a good thing, but it could be implemented. But there is a caveat for cryptocurrencies, and that is cryptocurrencies can be destroyed. So for example, if everyone deletes their copy of the blockchain, then the cryptocurrency doesn't exist anymore and all the balances are lost. Also, there are things like a 51% attack and the Genesis attack, in which a cryptocurrency can be undermined or destroyed. And if you want to know more about it, then you will have to Google it. We can't talk about it here right now in this presentation. And also, if some kind of really new breakthrough in cryptocurrency, in cryptography is achieved, or if people find a flaw in blockchain technology itself, then of course cryptocurrencies would also be destroyed. Now, I think all of these things are highly unlikely, but still it is less safe than gold, which is perfectly fixed in supply, like indestructible. Okay, good money should be recognizable, meaning it can't be faked. Now, gold and cash banknotes are really hard to fake, but also they are really hard to recognize if something is faked, if it's faked well. So you can make, for example, a special alloy that has the same density as gold and then coat it with gold. And for a normal person, it would be very hard to identify this thing as a fake. And yeah, we already said, like for cash, it's the same. If you get a banknote and it looks real, then you just accept that it's real. You can't really check it. Also, government currencies, like in your bank account, it's just a number in a bank account. Like there is no even telling if it's fake or not. It's just a number. You just have to trust that the bank puts the right number there, but you can't verify it. Cryptocurrencies all cryptocurrencies have a consensus protocol, and this consensus protocol, if there is no bug in it, then it makes the currency perfectly recognizable. Okay, good money should be restorable, meaning if I lose my credit card or my cell phone, then I should be able to restore it. Now, gold and cash are not restorable. If you lost it, it's gone. Your bank account is very much restorable, because if you lose your credit card and your password and everything, you can go to the bank and they will help you and set you up with a new credit card and password. Cryptocurrencies, most often when you create a cryptocurrency wallet, there is a recovery seed, which is a series of 24 random words which you have to write down. And with this recovery seed, you can recover your wallet. So if you lost your computer, if your cell phone is destroyed, you can recover it and create the same wallet again from this seed. But if you lose the seed, then you have lost everything. But the seed could, for people who don't trust themselves to keep it safe, they could store it in a bank or in a vault or in a safe or anything. So they are also restorable. Good money should be encrypted. So gold and cash are of course not encrypted. Anyone who has it in their hand can spend it. Government currency, like on your bank account, is encrypted with a PIN or password when you log into your e-banking. But there is the danger of a man-in-the-middle attack, because the bank has a central server, and when you enter your password to log in, this password has to be transferred to the central server. And if someone can put themselves in this path of where the password is transferred, then they can basically get your password and then use it themselves. So this is what is called a man-in-the-middle attack, where you, for example, you could set up a fake e-banking website, and then when someone logs into your fake website, you transfer them to the real website so that they didn't even notice that something is working improperly, but still you now know their password because you run the fake website. Just an example. Also, your money on your bank account can be seized by governments, and it's not encrypted to protect against this. Now, cryptocurrencies are of course encrypted, as the name already says, and you should always use a hardware wallet, which is a dedicated piece of hardware on which your private keys are saved, and the confirmation of your transaction is made on this hardware. So your private key is never sent out of this hardware, and this hardware is designed in a way that no one can get inside and read this private key. And so as long as you use a hardware wallet, then your encryption is basically perfectly safe, unless you have a faked hardware wallet, which would be the equivalent of a man-in-the-middle attack, like someone creating a fake hardware wallet and then knowing your secret information. And of course, if there is a flaw in the general consensus protocol, then basically you are screwed anyways. So yeah, that's for encryption. Now, good money should be hideable. Now, gold and cash are hideable at home, but if you want to take it somewhere, then you have to take it with you, and then you can still be robbed. Electronic government currencies are hidden very well from ordinary people. Like, if you walk along the street, no one knows how much money you have on your bank account or on your credit card limit or anything. So that's good, but it's not hideable from government, because government can just go to the bank and say, basically, here is like our warrant, now give us the information, and then it's not hidden at all. And so this, of course, is again a danger in case of asset seizure. Now, cryptocurrencies. Some cryptocurrencies have a public ledger where everyone can see for any address the whole transaction history. So that's of course not hideable. But some cryptocurrencies are implemented that the balance of every account is hidden. And also you can have many accounts that nobody knows of. Nobody knows how many accounts you have. So cryptocurrencies are really well hideable. Good money should be fungible. Now, gold in theory is perfectly fungible because it is a metal and you can cut off any block of metal and give it to someone else. In practice, however, people use gold bars and gold coins, and these things often have a serial number on them, and so in practice it's not perfectly fungible, but in theory it is. Yes, now cash, in practice it behaves as if it's fungible because nobody usually checks the serial number. It's like, if I have this $10 bill or that one, I really don't care. But you could implement a thing where as soon as you put the money in the counter in the shop, the counter automatically takes a picture of the serial number and compares it to a database, and then it wouldn't really be fungible anymore. And I don't think this is done at the moment, but it could certainly be done. Yeah, your money on your bank account is not fungible because the bank, of course, knows and keeps the transaction history. So they know, you got this money from that person, and maybe if that person is now found out to be a criminal, then this money has to be blocked. And so there's all kinds of things that can go on there. So it's not fungible because there is a saved transaction history. Cryptocurrencies, again, many cryptocurrencies are transparent, so they are not fungible because you can see the transaction history on the block explorer. But There are cryptocurrencies that are fungible, meaning that you can't in any way find out the transaction history. And if you want to know more about this, Google ring signatures, CK snarks, and stealth addresses. These are kind of algorithms that are used to make a cryptocurrency fungible. And I'm thinking here in particular of cryptocurrencies like Monero or Pirate. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So fungible, we covered that. Now, good money should be accessible. Gold and cash are perfectly accessible. If you hold it in your hand, no one can stop you from giving it to someone else. If they put a gun to your head, but then you have a big problem anyways. So bank accounts can of course be frozen and oftentimes are frozen. So bank accounts like electronic government money is not really accessible. Also PayPal and Patreon, you can lose your account or whatever and then you're screwed. These things all depend on power supply and internet access. And this is actually also the Achilles heel of cryptocurrency. So cryptocurrencies are decentralized, meaning there is no central point of access that can be blocked. So it's virtually impossible for any government or institution to block your access to this cryptocurrency because there are many pathways through which you can access it because it's decentralized. And the only thing that is, as I said, the Achilles heel is you need a power supply and you need an internet connection. And now in our normal everyday life, this seems like really not big a deal. But if there is kind of a bigger catastrophe and the internet or the power supply breaks down or gets controlled or shut down or whatever, then you lost your access to your cryptocurrency. So keep that in mind. Okay, good money should be divisible. Now, yeah, we talked about this already. Gold in theory is perfectly divisible because you can cut off any piece, any amount of gold from a big block of gold. But in practice, again, we use bars and coins, and you wouldn't really want to split your gold coin and give half a gold coin to someone. Government currency in the form of cash is kind of divisible because you have like different bills and coins, but you need to have the right combination in order to pay the price. Electronic currencies, both on your bank account and cryptocurrencies, are perfectly divisible. Okay, good money should be portable, meaning ideally it should have zero weight and zero volume. Now gold and cash clearly have weight and volume, so they are not perfectly portable. Government, like electronic cash and cryptocurrencies, yeah, you need some small device to carry it around with you to access it, like a credit card or a hardware wallet or a cell phone. But other than that, yeah, you are safe. Okay, what's safe? You are good to go, like they are portable. Also, next one, transferable. So I would want my money that I can transfer my money instantly to anyone, anywhere in the world with zero cost. Now, gold and cash, of course not. You have to pass it from person to person, so it's not really well transferable. Electronic government currencies, kind of. It depends. If you live in the first world and you want to interact with someone else in the first world, then you have PayPal and e-banking and credit cards, and that's quite... we have built up some things that work quite okay on the surface. But in the background, it's always tedious. Like the credit card company basically just... they guarantee the vendor that they will eventually pay him. And so that's why he lets you walk away with the goods immediately. And so, yeah, it's not really perfect. Sometimes it can take high costs or take a long time if you want to transfer, I don't know, to Bulgaria or to China or whatever. And some countries it's even impossible, like You can't transfer money to some person in North Korea. Cryptocurrencies, to everyone with an internet connection, basically. That's the only caveat. If you have an internet connection, then it's almost perfectly transferable. Because there will be a slight cost, but it will be almost zero. Showable. Like with gold and government currencies, you always have to trust some institution. Like you can put your gold in a storage company, in a vault, and then maybe they can tell the other person that you own that and that much gold in their vault, but the other person still has to trust the storage company. And the same goes, of course, for cash and banks. Now, in cryptocurrencies, I don't think there is a cryptocurrency that has this thing implemented. I'm not sure, but for sure it would be possible to implement this. Okay, so yeah, now we have reached the end of this comparison. I've just put here as a summary a table of all the characteristics that good money should have and of all the currencies that we have compared. And you can clearly see that cryptocurrencies are really cool. Like cryptocurrencies are better than cash, than government currencies in every point. And in most points they are like really substantially better. So for this reason, for me it is no doubt that cryptocurrencies will at some point replace the money that we use today. Now, I mean, one thing would be if governments make them illegal and really try to punish people that use them, then it would be more difficult. But still then I think in the end they will succeed just because they have that much better properties than government issued currencies. Now, cryptocurrencies, as we have said, have one major drawback, and that is they depend on this huge ecosystem of technology that has to all function properly. Like the power supply, the internet connection, your cell phone, your laptop, your hardware wallet, the mining pools that mine the cryptocurrency, like all kinds of things have to be working so that you can use them. And if any one of these breaks down, then you can't use them anymore. Which is not the same for gold and cash. Because if you have it, then you can spend it and you don't have to rely on any fancy technology. So this is the major drawback of cryptocurrencies in theory. Also in practice, cryptocurrencies are still very young. So so it will still take some time to perfect them and to implement actually a cryptocurrency that fulfills all these criteria to the degree that I have presented them here. But once this thing is implemented, I think it will for sure replace the money that we use today. And so yeah, this is my conclusion. I personally am a big fan of cryptocurrencies. I also own various cryptocurrencies. And please let me know what you think of this video, what you think of my thoughts. Did I miss something? Do you have some other opinion? Let me know in the comments. And thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on another video. Bye.